Hello everyone, Steven here from Redolescence and welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and in this video I'm going to be going over the top 10 favorite niche fragrances of all time in my collection that I have experienced and owned to date. I did decide to split this video into two, so this is going to be the niche version. I do have a designer version that's coming out very soon, so thank you for your patience. So these are the top 10 favorite niche fragrances currently as it stands in my collection. I actually got the idea to do this video from a subscriber of mine who commented on one of my recent videos, and he said, "Hey Steven, I would love to see what your top 10 out of 10 fragrances are. So what are the 10 fragrances in your collection that you would give a 10 out of 10 score or rating to?" And I really took a step back and I thought about that, and you know, initially I was very gung-ho about the idea, and I'm like, yeah, you know, that sounds great. I definitely want to do that video. I know a few other members in the community have done that video, but the way that I rate fragrances, it's very hard to give fragrances a 10 out of 10. And the reason for that is because even though they might have an amazing smell, they might fall short in a different category. So they might have a great smell, compliment getting, appeals to the masses, fixatives used successfully, incredibly unique, stands out, fragrance of its own, but it might fall short in terms of seasons or versatility or presentation. And I know presentation and stuff like that doesn't need to matter all the time. Then I started thinking about it. Well, what am I rating it 10 out of 10 for? Am I rating the smell? Am I rating the compliment factor? Am I rating... So what I thought to myself is, I think it might be a little bit better if, for my own sake, I just make a video highlighting my 10 absolute favorite niche fragrances in my collection, and I'll just kind of go over each one and tell you why they're my favorite fragrance. So like I said, I did split this up into two videos, so this is going to be my niche video. When I do have my designer video uploaded, I'll make sure to go back in here and leave an annotation in the corner, but for right now this is my niche video. So without further ado, thank you for watching, and let's get on into the list. So these are in no particular order. I have no honorable mentions. I'm just going to dive right into it. So I guess let's start it off with the first one. The first one is a fragrance that made my signature scent in my starting lineup. I'm going to leave a link to my starting lineup video in the description section below. And this video made that list because I love wearing it. It's what the fragrance bros would call a dumb reach. It's the fragrance that I wear when I can't think of any other fragrances to wear. And this one has stellar versatility, amazing performance, great smell, super unique, and I always get positive comments. I don't get, you know, crazy compliments with it, but people usually come up to me and tell me I smell nice when they smell this on me. And this fragrance is from the house of Dior, and it's part of their La Collection Privée line, and it's my favorite from that line, right next to Eau Noir. Eau Noir is kind of like in a tie, but this one is Bois d'Argent. I absolutely love this fragrance. I have a review of this fragrance as well, so make sure you check that out. I'll leave a link to that in the description section below. This is a beautiful composition by Anique Minardo, which has incense, it has myrrh, a bitter variety of myrrh, but it has some cypress in the background, giving it this very sophisticated green element with an iris note that kind of makes it waxy. And for me, it's somewhat evocative with the waxy characteristic and the incense. It reminds me of a candle, or it kind of gives it like this ecclesiastical vibe, and it has a little bit of smoke in there, and it's just amazing. The resins, the sweetness, the benzoin. Anique Minardo really knows how to use her resins well in her fragrances, and this is one of my favorites, hands down, one of my most worn fragrances. This is the big bottle, and I've already put quite a significant dent into it. Bois d'Argent by Christian Dior, part of the La Collection Privée line. The next fragrance on this list needs no introduction. I just did a video with my fiance on the top 10, or I guess it was like a battle of the Creed fragrances. And this is one of my fiance's favorite Creed fragrances. But when she smelled it in that video, she automatically did not like it. She said, "Wow, why would you make me smell that?" And I was totally taken aback. And I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is one of your favorite Creeds." So I guess to some people this is polarizing. Some people say it's just hype. Some people say the hype is real. Believe the hype. For me, this is one of my most complimented scents ever in my entire collection. Hence the reason why it's also one of my favorite scents ever. And again, by Creed, this fragrance is the popular Aventus. I have the Z01 batch for anybody interested in knowing. And this is a collaboration between father and son, Olivier Creed and Erwin Creed, respectfully. respectively, excuse me. And this is a beautiful composition of pineapple, apple, blackcurrant, and bergamot, giving it this unconventional fruity opening which smells just amazing. And it smells so naturally, and the blend of notes is so harmonious. And then you also have a little bit of birch tar, which adds this contemporary masculine quality, all the while retaining a little bit of a classic masculine quality in the background, with a little bit of oak moss used in the most beautiful concentration that's not overbearing and doesn't give this fragrance a dated smell. So you have that fruity smoky nuance with some rose in the mid, which brings forth some sensuality. And then in the dry down you have this base of vanilla, amber, and I think cedar wood, and it's just an amazing scent. One of the most complimented in my collection. I'm going to make it number 9 on the list. No particular order, but Creed's Aventus. The next fragrance on my list is one of the first niche fragrances that I have ever purchased. So of course, with a lot of the fragrances in this list, it's not even necessarily because I love the smell, even though I do love the smell of this fragrance. For a lot of them, you know, it's the memories that we have associated with them, the times in which we wore them, the things that we experienced while we were wearing them, and just the attachments that we hold to many of these fragrances. And this one I hold some very dear attachments to. And this one is from the house of Nasomatto. It's not Black Afghano, it's Duro. This is one of my absolute favorite fragrances of all time. And you know what? I have so many fragrances in my collection, and I really started to second guess myself on many of them. And I found myself just picking the bottle up and sniffing it, and I'm like, am I sure about this one? I can guarantee you that for all 10 of these niche fragrances, the second I smelled it, I said, there's no way that this fragrance is not gonna make that list. That's the way that I felt with every single fragrance in this list. And this one, Duro, it has, for me, it evokes an image of being in a room whose walls are adorned with leather, and you have spikes coming out of the floor and woods in the background, and it's just so gothic and dark and mysterious, kind of along the same lines of Black Afghano. They're still very dark and macabre in their own way. But this one is also, I don't know what the word to use for it is, but this is a very bold, charismatic, and unapologetic combination. You got the leather, the spices, I think a little bit of saffron too, a lot of musk in the dry down, and definitely this agarwood note that is very potent. And yeah, it's not afraid to really come at you and attack your senses. Great fragrance by Nasomatto, it's Duro. Next fragrance on this list is even more polarizing than Duro. It's one of my fiance's least favorite fragrances, but you know what? Despite that, I still wear it. I wear it with pride, and I can't imagine myself not wearing this fragrance. And I remember when I walked into New York one day, the day that I bought this fragrance, I go up to the counter and I say, I'm going to take a 100 ml bottle of this fragrance. Had my discount code ready to go, and Chad was like, he just gave me this look of like, wow, impressive. But honestly, this is a fragrance that, you know, it's a love or hate it. I don't think there's any in-betweens for this fragrance. If you hate it, you absolutely despise it. If you love it, you will defend it. You will take a bullet for it. Not literally, of course, but this is by Amouage, and it's called Interlude Man. This is what Rene Zayas, good friend of mine, Mr. Zayas, he would call the blue beast. And a beast it is. This fragrance is incredibly potent with its performance. Perfumer is Pierre Negrin, who's also done Calvin Klein's Encounter. And this one is another shock of resins to the senses, but it also has an extremely smoky quality to it, very incensey. Definitely give it a try before you buy it. This is one that you absolutely must not blind buy. You are taking a serious risk if you are blind buying this fragrance. So, Interlude Man by Amouage. And the next fragrance in this list is one that my fiance bought for me last Christmas. And for this one, I also do have the memories attached to it, but I absolutely love the smell. It's so heavenly and divine. And I think it's the second gourmand fragrance in this list, or the one that smells somewhat edible. This is, I think it's my favorite Montale. Yeah, it's probably my favorite Montale, with my second favorite probably being Intense Cafe. It's hard to choose between the two, but I went with this one. This one is Red Aoud by Montale. This one, of course, typical Montale DNA, oud, rose, saffron, that traditional combination that you've probably encountered in so many compositions already. But this one has a very gourmand feel to it. Vanilla in the background, you have what to me resembles kind of like the smell of a gingerbread cookie. It's very hard to tell, but like a cookie that just came out of the oven and it's fresh and you just want to take a bite into it, but then you have all these other exotic ingredients to it. That's probably one of the best words I can use to describe this one. It's an exotic composition. Man, I'm smelling it right now. By the way, all of these seem to have something that really makes them stand out. Like this is the most complimented, this is the most versatile, this is the most potent. This one, I mentioned this in my video, does act like bacteria. What I'm trying to say by that is if it comes in contact with anything, be it clothes or another person, it's going to stick to that thing like glue. So be careful when you wear this one. It is very easy to over apply with this one. Next one on my list is, again, one of my first niche purchases, and it's the fragrance that in my collection helped me view fragrances like art. And I think that's something that no other fragrance can really take away from me. This one really helped me to refine my perspective on what art is in terms of fragrance representation. And it's the first fragrance that really transported me like no other fragrance has before. This is by Tower Perfumes, and it's called L'air du Desert Marocain. So this is Andy Tower's second composition, and it's a very dark, rich, ambery fragrance, which I think contains both amber and ambergris. And it has spices, I think coriander or cumin, and it also has orris root, which is basically iris, giving it a slightly waxy quality. But the name translates to the air of the Moroccan desert, and certainly it does smell like a very dry air that you would smell in the Moroccan desert. And just the way that this fragrance transports you to a different world is amazing. And that's something that I will always love and admire and respect about the artwork of Andy Tower. I think he's absolutely a genius. Next fragrance on my list is a fragrance that I blind bought because I read the note breakdown and it seemed appealing. So I said, hey, why not? Let me take a chance. And I actually originally bought this fragrance because I noticed that the perfumer is Greek and I happen to be Greek. So I said, let me give this one a chance, you know, but I was definitely giving it a chance. You know, I was taking a chance. And I get it in the mail and I sniff it for the first time and I was in olfactory euphoria. This is exactly what I was looking for in a spicy fragrance. This is by far the coziest fragrance that I have in my entire collection. And this is by Magnetic Scent, and it's called Untitled No. 2. I've spoken about this fragrance many times. I now have a backup bottle. This is actually my backup bottle. Thank you, Jim, who sold it to me. But this fragrance actually, it's a melange of different spices. You have cinnamon, nutmeg, I think coriander. The spices are very heavy hitting. And again, with this fragrance, it is polarizing in the sense that if you're not a fan of cinnamon, this fragrance will absolutely kill your nose. So don't even, you know, please don't bother wasting your time. But this is a beautiful spicy fragrance that is supposed to represent masala chai tea. Masala chai means spiced chai. And in this fragrance, you got the mix of spices, but it actually smells like tea because it has a milky accord. So it has a very smooth, milky quality with a little bit of rose, adding sensuality, and vanilla in the background to give that perfect balance of sweetness. Man, it's just an amazing fragrance. I can't get enough of it. Untitled No. 2 by Magnetic Scent, now discontinued. The next fragrance on my list is my favorite Bond No. 9. I really have to thank two people for this fragrance. I have to thank Cody from the YouTube channel DracDoc. He first put me onto this fragrance when I met him for the first time at Mint New York during an event. I think it was a Julep Mad event. And then I contacted my good friend Renee, who sent me a sample of it, and I ended up buying it a few weeks later. This is by far my favorite Bond No. 9 fragrance, and another discontinued fragrance. This is Andy Warhol Face Edition. As the color of the bottle implies, that dark plum color, there's a lot of plum in this fragrance. It stands out, it's beautiful, it's sweet, but it's also kind of mysterious and sophisticated at the same time because it has some woodsy elements in the background. Also contains a bit of spice, cypress if I remember correctly, but it has oud, also known as agarwood. And this is by far, from the fragrances that I smelled, one of the most versatile agarwood fragrances that I have gotten my nose on. It just blends in there so well, and it's really overwhelming in terms of that sweet plum note that it contains. By far an amazing fragrance, one of my favorites. Bond No. 9's Andy Warhol Face Edition. The next fragrance on my list is my favorite Le Labo fragrance. I have many Le Labo fragrances, and it was really hard to decide which one I was going to pick for this video, but this is also one by my favorite perfumer, and this is one that I've been wearing for a very long time now. And this is a fragrance with a very intriguing, weird, strange, dark, and gothic introduction, but the dry down, that vanilla and benzoin combo, the sweetness brought forth by it, is one of the most heavenly dry downs I have ever encountered. And this one is Patchouli 24. So, beautiful composition by Nick Minardo. The notes are patchouli, birch tar, vanilla, and styrax benzoin. So of course there are 24 ingredients, as is indicated by the name of the fragrance, but only those 4 are disclosed. There are a lot of spices in there, definitely a lot of spices, and I think there may be more than one variety of patchouli, because I get a nice earthy patchouli, but I also get a very dark and bitter patchouli too. Very harsh in the opening, smoky. People say it smells like barbecue. I kind of get that, but not entirely. But there's a sweetness to it which starts to come out in the dry down, and it just becomes such an amazing fragrance with some woodsy nuances in the base. Patchouli 24 by Le Labo. Check it out. Definitely don't blind buy it. And the last fragrance in this list is a fragrance that has really stood out. It's a fragrance that really captivated me the instant that I smelled it. And very few times do fragrances have that effect on me. But when I first got my nose on this gem at Oswald in New York, shout out to Oswald and Josie, I knew that I had to buy this fragrance. And this is by Xerjoff. This fragrance is called More Than Words. So this fragrance is part of the Join the Club collection. The Join the Club collection is a collection of fragrances that each one of them represents being a part of a different club. I think they have like an equestrian club, they have a poetry club, which is this one, they have a jazz club, they have a sailing club, or a yachting club, 40 knots, and this is the poetry club, and poetic composition it is. You have again, some oud, rose, some spices like saffron. You have an ambery and rosy accord that dries down to this very beautiful patchouli, amber, labdanum kind of a mix. It opens up very sensual and seductive and dries down to an equally sensual and seductive smell. Guys, these are the 10 niche fragrances in my collection that I absolutely cannot go without. Fragrance mainstays and staples in my collection. If and when I do run out of any of these fragrances, I'm getting close to running out of Aventus. I have my backup bottle of, Untitled No. 2. When I run out of any of these, I will be sure to replenish stock. So guys, let me know, what are your top 10 favorite fragrances? You can do designer or niche, top 5, top 10. Leave a comment down below, let me know what they are. If you own or have tried any of these fragrances, please let me know what you think by leaving a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to rate and subscribe for future videos and frequent giveaways. Again guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Steven with another video from Red Essence. See you very soon.